Good morning, everybody. Miss Dalen here. I hope you all have had a great week. I'm very happy to be back with you guys again and teach a lesson. I'm going to be talking today about one of my favorite characters in the Bible, named Moses. Now, this is the birth of Moses, and we're going to be learning about how God takes care of us through others. Okay, and I'll explain what that means as we get further along in, but I'm going to start by just reading Exodus chapter 2, and I'll kind of break it down so we can kind of understand what God is talking about. Okay, so I'll read it and then I'll kind of paraphrase to make it sound easier to understand. Okay, so you got a man and a woman. Okay, and they were from the tribe of Levi, and they got married. Okay, so they got married and they had a son. Okay, so she knew that he was special. Sometimes I guess moms just know. I don't know. So she knew that this baby was special, and so she did something kind of weird. She hid the baby for 3 months. Okay, and it got to the point where she couldn't hide him anymore, so she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. Basically, she made the basket stay together so it wouldn't sink. Okay, so she put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister, okay, then stood at a distance watching to see what happened to him. Okay, so if you're curious and you're kind of like, what is mom doing with him? This is what his sister was doing. She was looking off from a distance of seeing what was going on, because mom was putting baby brother in the river. It was kind of strange. But so mom puts the baby in the river in this basket. Okay, so soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. Okay, so when the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her, because princesses, they make everybody else do things for them. It's just what they do, I guess. So when the princess opened the basket, she saw the baby, and the little boy was crying, obviously, and she felt sorry for him. She said, "This must be one of the Hebrew children," she said. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. This is interesting. And we'll kind of unpack how this is interesting, because his sister made a very brave, courageous move. Okay, so then the baby sister approached the princess. "Should I go find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. She said, "Yes, do," the princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. "Take this baby and nurse him for me," the princess told the baby's mother. "I will pay you for your help." So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, "I lifted him out of the water." So that story is kind of like, what's going on? Okay, so this mom abandons her baby, okay, basically is what it sounds like, and puts this baby in a basket and then puts him in the river, and then the sister sees what's going on. She's like, what's going on? And then Pharaoh's daughter sees the baby, gets the baby out of the basket, and the baby's sister says, "Do you want me to help?" Basically, she's making sure her brother's safe, but this princess doesn't know it. Or maybe she does. I don't know. It doesn't say. I'm guessing she didn't know it, because she said, "Do you want me to find someone to help raise the baby for you?" And the princess said, "Yes, I need somebody to take care of this baby." And so then she paid this woman to raise the baby, and when the baby got older, she brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, and then the princess named him Moses. Okay, so what is significant about this story is that God is using Moses' sister to take care of him. And that's what I'm teaching about today is that I want you guys to know that God takes care of us through others, okay? So I want you to think about a time when you've had to take care of something or someone. So if I was to think of something, I have 2 kids, so I have to take care of them. I have to feed them. I have to make sure they get drink stuff, plenty of water. They get exercise, they play, they have somewhere to sleep, that I protect them if something's, bad's happening. I got a lot of responsibility for these 2 kids. But you guys don't have kids, so you might have a pet. And a pet needs exercise, they need food, they need water, they need a place to sleep. You got to take them outside in the bathroom. There's a lot of taking care of things with a pet. And kind of like with a children or a sibling, you help take care of them. And that's what this story is really about today, is that God uses others to help take care of us. And so if we're going back to the Bible verse, the 1 through 10, this is where God is up to something, okay? God is present right now in this, okay? And it doesn't really seem like it because, this mom abandoned her baby and some stranger took him and then somebody else raised him and then gave him back. It's kind of weird. But it's an amazing story because God uses Moses' sister to take care of him. And so what has happened is last week, y'all got taught about a man named Joseph and his brothers and how they moved to Egypt. And so hundreds of years has passed, and Joseph and his brothers ended up having many great-great-great-great-grandchildren, okay? And those people were called the Israelites, okay? And so, but during this time, there was a new Pharaoh, and Pharaoh is kind of like a king, somebody that's in charge of everything and makes rules and all that jazz, okay? And so this Pharaoh was worried that the Israelites were growing in numbers, and he was not happy about that. So he was worried that something might happen to him if the Israelites kept growing in numbers. And so, he decided to make them slaves, just, I guess, to kind of punish them for doing this. So, this sounds bad, okay? So this Pharaoh was upset that there were so many Israelites, so he decided to make them slaves, basically to punish them. So that doesn't really sound like good news for God's people, okay? So, but here's the cool thing, is that even though the Egyptians were trying to stop them, the Israelites just kept growing and growing in numbers because God was with them. Okay, so you got Pharaoh, who is worried that the Israelites were growing. So he wanted to put a stop to it. And if you think of somebody that's in charge, they always want to try to stop you from doing something. And so he made a law to kill all the baby boys as soon as they were born. Yes, you heard that right. He made a law to kill baby boys as soon as they were born. And he asked that the Egyptians who helped deliver the babies, the Israelites who helped the Israelites deliver these babies, made sure that happened. So these Israelites were being punished, basically. And again, that doesn't sound like God's at work. And it just kind of seems like God's letting this bad thing happen. And something that I know is it was just the boys, not the girls, okay? So what is amazing about this story is that God was at work, because what was happening was that the Egyptians that were helping the Israelites deliver these babies, they made up excuses and did their best not to obey Pharaoh's law. So it wasn't working. So God had a plan for the Israelites to save the Israelites from Egypt, okay? And he, because like I said, they were slaves, and so they were being punished and they were being treated badly. So he had a plan to save them, but he handpicked one person, and he needed this person to stay alive because he was a baby, and his name was Moses. And so he needed somebody to keep Moses safe because he was a boy and he had to be killed, but he needed somebody to help protect him. Okay, so today, that's what we're learning about, that God takes care of us through others. Okay, so at first we read in the story, it was his mom taking care of him. His mom made the basket. His mom made sure the basket wasn't going to sink. She put him in the basket and laid it among the weeds or tall grass, whatever you can think of, along the bank of the Nile River. This baby sister stood at a distance watching to see what would happen. So she was kind of like in the background, like, I need to make sure nothing bad happens to them. And if you've got siblings, or even if you don't, maybe you got cousins or friends, you just kind of want to think, I don't want anything bad to happen to them. So that's what she was kind of doing. She was standing away and just kind of seeing what was going to happen after her mom left the river. So, like earlier in the scripture, she hid him for 3 months. Okay, so that had to be super hard. If you can think of things of why that would make it hard to hide a baby for 3 months, drop them in the comments. Let's see what you think, because I can't imagine keeping a baby quiet for 3 months, especially when he wasn't even supposed to be alive after he was born. So, you got mom, she put him in the basket down there. So here's where Moses gets taken care of, because mom did a fine job when he was first born and for the first 3 months, but she knew it was getting harder to keep him quiet and to make sure he doesn't get caught. So she did what she thought of and put him in the Nile River. And it's where Miriam is Moses' sister name. It's where Miriam comes in and makes a bold, courageous choice to make sure that nothing happened to her brother after her mom left. So in verse 7, it says, then the baby sister approached the princess, because remember, the princess was taking a bath, and I don't know about you, but having a bath in the river does not seem like a thing to do, but they didn't have, that's what they did. Okay. So Moses' sister approached this princess, and I would have probably been super nervous and approaching this princess, knowing that her, royalty family made this law that you can't be an Israelite baby boy. You had to be killed. So she basically set him up to win, of saying, hey, do you want me to find somebody to take care of this baby for you? And the princess was like, yes, please do. I don't want to do it. I don't have the means to do it. So she called the baby's mother. Okay. And so the baby was taken care of for amount of time. I imagine probably when he was a teenager. I don't really know the exact age. He was brought back, and the princess adopted him. Okay. So God used Miriam to take care of Moses, and God takes care of us through others as well. And remember where I said you got usually parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, take care of us, but there's also like police officers and firefighters and people like that help protect you, and like EMS people as well. So she had this big task in her mind, I'm guessing, but this was all part of God's plan, is he knew that he needed Moses to be saved, and he was going to use his sister Miriam to do that. And basically she made sure that he had somebody to take care of him, and that she would raise him when he got older, because she was there. She's like, yeah, you nurse him and things like that, and I'll pay you to do it. And when he gets older, bring him back, and I'll take him back. So this story is just the start of God's plan to help save these people. He protected Moses from the Egyptians from killing him, and because he needed Moses to stay alive. And his mom started out doing it, but then his sister kind of ended up finishing it, of making sure that he got safe down the river and approached this princess. And so the big thing, like I said earlier, was that we can learn that God takes care of us through others, and that we can take care of others with God's help. Because do you think Miriam really would have been able to do that on her own? No, she wouldn't have. She needed the courage and the bravery to approach the princess, the Pharaoh's daughter, to do this. So, what I want you guys to do, as we wrap up, is I want you to get a piece of paper, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to write down a person that they can think of that needs love and someone to care for them. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to take care of them or anything, but sometimes that just means that you're there for them, that you help. Like if you're an older sibling, you help take care of your little siblings. If you're an only child, you can still help take care of something or somebody in your life. But I want you to write down somebody that needs some love and care. Okay. And if you can't think of anybody right off the top of your head, it's okay. But I'm praying that God reveals to you somebody, and I want you to write it down on that piece of paper. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to put it somewhere where you can see it, of remembering that person. Because then what I want you to do is I want you to pray for that person. I want you to be able to see their name and know that they need love and care. And so praying is one way that God can use us to take care of others, because you're not too small to help care for somebody. You're not too small to help love somebody. And each time you see that, I want you to just take a moment to just pray for them and simply pray that, God, I pray that they know that they are loved and they are cared for. Because God can use you, and He can use me, He can use your parents, people like that, to let others know that they're loved. Okay. So I'm so happy that I got to tell you this story this week, and I'm excited for what you guys are going to learn next week. Do those slips of papers, or just think of somebody, because praying is one way that God really shows us how to take care of people and love people. I'm going to end this by praying, and then I'll end the video, and we'll go from there. Okay? All right, God, thank you that even though you take care of us on your own, you give us people to take care of us as well. God, would you help us to see ways where we can care for people that you've put in our lives, and that we have a good week, and that we get rest, and we find joy in the little things, God. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Okay. I am so glad again that we could meet like this. We are excited to meet with you in person. I encourage you to come back next week to learn more about this story. It's about to get good. God does something great through Moses, and I really want you guys to see just how God takes care of us through others. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to let us know. We'll be in contact with you guys, and we will see you soon. Bye.